This is One Last Glance, a short story written by myself. This comes from the Weekend Prompt Challenge, in which you write for 15 minutes based on a given prompt. If you would like to try this out as well, I will leave the link in the description. And I do advise you to check the content warnings for this, as it can get a little bit sad. Now, without further ado, this comes from prompt 204, Write about a car accident with a twist. Nothing prepares you for the flash of lights as compact metal speeds at you miles a minute. They don't warn you of the way the snow slips under your tires, altering your course to a diagonal. Preparation is out the window as the first corner of glass cracks, splintering and whizzing past with a sheer whisper. It is all Logan can do to reassure himself as he feels the seatbelt strain against his shoulder. At least that he could control. Seconds is all it takes, a blink of an eye before it will all be over. He cranes his neck, afraid to glance at the tear in the other's eyes, but wishing for his lover to be the last he sees before the inevitable end. It is heartbreaking that those violet eyes now shine with fear, gripping the edges of the seat like a lifeline, one that will surely break. Virgil always was the one for caution, watching every second to ensure nothing such as this could occur. That was his true downfall. Logan could see it in the other's eyes, the way they grew darkened at the thought that this time he had failed to protect. He banishes such thoughts from his mind. If each second is the path to his last, then he will relish it in all he has left. Logan finds himself reaching across the seat, gripping Virgil's hand as metal collides with metal. The crunch echoes in his ears, drowning out the sounds of screaming that he is surely adding to. He grips Virgil's hand tighter, not caring that the positioning of his arms stretched across the seat could surely lead to it being broken. There are worse things to occur. It is then that even in the midst of screeching tires and hands gripped tightly to leather seats, that time stands still. A moment of reflection, clear as if you were watching his past through the glass of a window. Memories of the nights spent late, giggling underneath the stars as Virgil wrapped them both tight in a blanket. Days covered in paper cuts and coffee stains, all to stumble downstairs and be swallowed up in Virgil's arms. Special days, where the terror of wrapping paper and endless collections of chocolate couldn't even surpass the joy from just being together. Logan longed to hold on to each moment, grasping to something he would never quite reach. His seatbelt tugged tighter against his chest, forcing a breath of air from his lungs. One of his last. Debris cut through the shattered windows as the world turned to its side. The ground became the sky, only this darkness was not welcomed. Rolling back and forth in what seemed like an endless cycle, they finally stopped. The vehicle came skidding across the ground, slowed only by the accumulation of snowdrifts on the sidewalk. Logan blinked his eyes open, forcing himself to gaze openly into the wreckage. Virgil looked back at him, reflecting his fear with tears pricking his eyes. Flecks of red dotted the snow that fell within the marred vehicle, bringing a sting to the wounds littered across both their bodies. Relief lasted only a second as the smell of smoke began to fill the cab. Dark and clouded, and not even the desperate pulling of the seatbelt could get it to release. It was over. Knowing this, Logan took a final moment to glance towards the one he loved dearly, locking eyes pooled with tears and brushing his scarred fingers over the back of his hand. Virgil reflected his expression, all too aware of what came next. With a voice ran ragged, Logan offered a weak smile and spoke the same 3 words they could never seem to say enough. I love you. Virgil closed his eyes, nodding softly before whispering, I love you too. Flames engulfed the car, a lover's hopes seemingly turning to ashes in the night. Wailing sirens echoed in the distance as eyes slipped closed. Darkness. Logan woke up in a cold sweat, the nightmare still reflected by the tear tracks on his face. A mere dream, a cruel fabrication of his own mind. He grasped tighter at the sheets, shaking the fear from his mind. Only a dream. He tried to ignore the empty space on the other side of the bed. This has been One Last Glance. Thank you so much for listening, and I apologize for any sads. I will see you next time for another story, and I hope you all have wonderful days.